Welcome back. Toby Mathis here. And today we have Mike Sullivan from Alliance Virtual Offices. And what we're going to be going over is the 5 reasons to ditch your traditional office space. And so I'm not going to waste any time on this. Mike, what's going on in the world of office space? And why should somebody who's an entrepreneur consider ditching their office space?
The reasons, there's more than 5 reasons that we could spend hours, weeks, months on this topic. But there are 5 key reasons that you would want to ditch your office space. And I think, the cost, risk, credit, flexibility, and talent are the big reasons to want to ditch the office space. There's with all the things, technology, the pandemic, uh, uncertainty about the future. There's an unbelievable number of reasons to do this, and so we can start with cost if that's where you want to talk about.
Yeah, let's dive in. So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm thinking about starting up a business. And a lot of people would go out and they'd get commercial office space. They'd get the little cubicles. They'd start hiring people. And that seemed to be turned on its head during the pandemic for sure. But I know you guys have been doing this. How long has Alliance been around? Like, you guys have been doing this a long time, haven't you?
Well, we've been around in one way or another for 40 years. I haven't been in this industry for 40 years, but our company's been around in various flavors, and we've been doing this Alliance Virtual Offices business for the last 20 years or so.
Worldwide offices, thousands of
Mhm.
offices. The top 5, I know that. You got Regis, WeWork, and Alliance. You guys are some of the big ones, right?
Correct. Yes.
All right, so let's dive in. Somebody's looking at this. How is it going to save them money, first off?
Well, first of all, have you walked in anybody's office in the past 5 years? I walk in my partner's offices. I walk in the law office downtown. I go to the mayor's office. It's always a ghost town. Like, I don't know where people are. Are they on lunch? Are they all on break? Where are they?
They're at home.
They're at home. Is that a good use of money? Is it a good use of money? Is that a good use of your company's first or second, usually the second biggest uh, line on the balance sheet? Is that what you want to do? Spend money on
No.
unused office space with beautiful artwork and great furniture and all this stuff? No, you don't want to do that. So I think it's a huge financial burden. It is if it is something significant on the balance sheet that you can get off the balance sheet. It's a ball and chain.
So let me ask you this, Mike. So when you say virtual office, this isn't a pretend office. This isn't a backdrop or anything. These are physical offices. But what are you doing? You're just giving access to somebody so that if they need to have a meeting, they're able to do it. They can have a physical address. They have a receptionist. They have those types of things. Or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, they with a virtual office, and there's a lot of ambiguity around what a virtual office means. So I'm glad you asked the question. The way that we think about a virtual office is it's an office with a commercial address, with a building that you've probably driven by a million times and said, "Hey, that's a nice looking building. I might like to do business there." Well, and they're sometimes in downtown central business districts, sometimes in suburban office parks, and usually there's 30 to 50, maybe even 100 offices uh, uh, that are for rent in those offices. What we do specifically is we work with the space owner, and it might be a small co-working center or a large executive suite center, and we lease out or they've leased out the space, and we uh, offer the address, we offer meeting rooms, we offer private offices through our system to entrepreneurs and small businesses, so that they don't have to sign a long-term lease. They don't have to sign any kind of uh, put anything on their balance sheet.
Yeah.
So
Now, years ago, I had your CEO, Frank Cottle, on where he predicted the demise of WeWork, by the way. It was pretty funny. We went into detail on that one, and he was right. Uh, but he said it was kind of like a Airbnb for office space, right? You're going out and you're putting people who want to access space together with the people that have that space, and you're putting a nice technological wrapper around it to make it really simple. So if I need a office and I know I'm going to need it once in a while, but I don't know how often, I can make sure that I have that address and I have access to office space in that address for as little or as much time as I need it. If I need an office that I need 24/7, I can do that. If I need an office where I need it on a weekly or maybe once a month basis, I could do that. If I just need the address, I could do that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The beauty of it is you can have an address, you can work from home, or you can work from some other office space, however you want to work, and you can have that as your commercial address where we will receive your mail. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to come by and pick it up, you can pick it up, or we can forward it. We can forward it to another address that you have registered. We also have receptionists who can answer your phone in your name. You can get at just about any type of phone number you want, toll free, local, in some other city. You have multiple numbers, and we have some AI operators that are coming online. If you want to have a live operator, you can have that, or you can have an AI operator.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, yeah. So that should be coming later this year, early next year.
What's the cost like, Mike? Like, what is a typical? So, like, let's say I'm a real estate agent and something, and I know that I'm going to meet with people periodically, usually out at a home, but I need a place where I can meet with people, maybe the first time, maybe to meet with a group, maybe to go through signings or things like that. What's a typical cost, just ballpark monthly amount that gets me an office, that gets me a commercial office space?
Yeah, the base cost for this would be $50 to $70. Probably 80% of our locations globally are in that range of $50 to $70 for the address, for the
A
mail
month,
services
a month, a year? What is
per
it
month,
per month?
for
So
the
50
mail.
bucks a month gets me a physical office. And then what do? I pay if I need to use the office space by the
You
hour
can,
or something like that.
yeah, you can get a private office by the hour, by the day, and that'll range anywhere from, depending on what you're looking for, 20 to 30, $40 an hour. Sometimes we have really good rates for a full day or a full week.
Oh, wow. So that sounds like a pretty good deal. So let's just say I'm a lawyer. Hey, I'm a lawyer and I need to do depositions and things like that. And I'd think I need to go get a 3,000 square foot office space and have cubicles for everybody. This might be a better solution, right? Like this might be, hey, if I need a space, I can reserve it for the deposition. Maybe I'll reserve it for 6 hours. And now I don't have to pay that monthly amount that I would if I had the overhead plus cams plus all my utilities and everything else. That's on the landlord, right?
We have so many lawyers, in that we have about 10% of our clients are lawyers,
Mm.
and they are the most frequent users of our meeting rooms and private offices, and a big portion of that is for deposition. So it's a great use of our office space.
All right. So quite obviously, there's a cost benefit. So I'm not doing a 5 year lease where like I'm inflexible, man. I mean, it stinks. I'm locked in. I got, I have to renew it for 5 years. I have to do a build out. I remember doing a build out in Summerlin, by the way. It was almost $500,000 for 4,000 square feet. These aren't cheap, right? And you have these huge expenses, and I can do away with that and just use somebody else's and say, hey, you know what? You already did it. It's already got furniture. It's got everything in there. I just want to use it and save myself a ton of money. All right, but let's go on. There was five things you mentioned there, and I want to go through them. We did cost. I think the next one you said was risk.
Yeah, risk. So who knows what's next, what's around the corner. So if you've got a lease, this is actually related to the cost. You've got a lease, you don't you're going to have an empty office all of a sudden.
All right, during the pandemic, you just
Yeah.
you weren't even allowed to come in there, but
Mhm.
you didn't have to pay your lease during that time, did you? That's
Yeah.
facetious, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the risk is a big deal, and there's multiple factors in risk. I was talking a little bit about financial risk, but there's also other risks associated with it, and we can talk a little bit about the next form of risk, and that's a credit risk.
I'm an attorney, so I'm going to just talk about another side of risk. I know you're looking at this from a financial standpoint, and hey, it's bad to have a 5 year lease. Things could happen. You go out of business and you're stuck with this thing, or you're a guarantor on it. It could destroy you. We can avoid that doing the virtual space. But also, if you have people in a space together, and if you're a business owner and one of your employees decides that they're going to go out and start harassing people, touch people inappropriately, steal things, you have that type of risk too. When you have an office space, you get to take that on. And this sounds like I'm not going to have that so much. This is somebody else's employee that's sitting up there as a receptionist. If somebody says something inappropriate to that receptionist, I'm not getting sued for it. Somebody else is that fair?
No.
Yeah, but I can avoid it by doing the virtual office, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, but this you don't have the lease at that point. Your hands are free from that. So, I think I think the other part of the way one of the ways I think about it is before the pandemic, our industry a lot of people didn't know what we offered and why you would want to have a virtual office, and the they people started businesses using their home address, using their personal cell phone number. All right. And so the good thing about after the pandemic, people started really learning and understanding the things you're talking about.
Mhm.
Like it was a topic of conversation that happened on the internet after that, and that's what you're talking about is one of them. But another thing is really understanding the idea of separating your personal assets from your business assets, from what you do.
And I interrupted you, but I'm going to let you go back because you mentioned the credit side to it.
Yeah,
This is a big one because if you're going to be bankable, you're going to have to make sure that you're isolating out your personal from the business from the personal, right?
yeah.
How does Alliance work in that?
So what we if you're working at home and you have your home that you pay your mortgage on, you have the deed and all that kind of stuff. The one of the last things you want to do is have your LLC registered to that home address, and have your bank account for both your business and your personal registered to that home address. And there are a number of things, and you can probably talk to those things better than I can, being a lawyer and understanding Pearson corporate bail and things of that nature. So what we always encourage our clients is to not use a cell phone number ever to publish on the web, on their website, but use a virtual phone number from Alliance. That way you can hide your cell phone number. You don't have to have your cell phone number published anywhere so that people can get in touch with you. So it brings a lot of privacy and security in that way. And then the address, even more importantly, it separates your home, your financial security, your family from anything that could happen in your business. And we talked about escaping the problems associated with a lease and all the legal liabilities of workplace inappropriate behavior. But there's also other things that people could come at your business for. And if you have your business tied to your home address, it could easily be pierced.
I'm going to use an example that I have a psychiatrist friend who works with a lot of disturbed people, and the last thing he wants is people showing up at his home,
Yeah.
right? And so he's very, very concerned, wants to make sure that his house isn't just sitting out there. Now, law enforcement officers, people may not realize this, can get that protection and have their names not listed because they don't want people that they've arrested to come find them and harass them. It's happened in the past. It's happened with judges. It's happened with, like, we've seen it, right? But it happens in regular business too. And also lawyers, when they target you, they love to serve you at home. Get your personal address off of things. As a business, you do not want to have your personal address. It's too easy to get around it. Alliance is just one solution. Registered agent is, obviously you can use a registered agent office, which, by the way, Alliance is a backbone of our registered agent service. We've worked with you guys for years and years and years to do that. You do a great job. But when you are applying from everything from business credit to, all of that, if they see a personal address, and believe me, they're going to check if you're trying to get business funding for your business, it's going to show up in a U.S. Postal Service as whether it's a commercial address, blacklisted address, or residential address. And if it shows up as a residential, you just nixed yourself
Mhm.
on a huge amount of the business loans. You actually have to have a business address, physical address in your particular state. And Alliance is one of the solutions. I know you work with several of the larger business credit building companies as a service provider because of that,
Mhm.
because that makes a huge difference. But I don't want to leave those ones lying around either. I want to make sure that we're buttoning those up and that we're doing it from the get go if that's what your intent is with your business. Making sure that you do have a legitimate office address, commercial address that you can use for your business.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the part about the credit reporting. We have a lot of companies who come to us because they've been suggested by people who are advising their business to build credit and to get an address where they can build credit. And one of the things that we do to enable that is we report to the credit bureaus on the business side, so that when you start a business, you basically have zero credit. It doesn't really have much to do with your own personal credit. And so you really have to do some things to. And if you want to, about 10% of our clients are in the transportation and logistics industry, and
Mm-hmm.
they want to buy a truck. They want to buy a fleet of trucks,
Yep.
and they're going to have a really hard time getting the money for an 18 wheeler or an Amazon style delivery truck uh, based on their personal credit. And so they want to establish business credit.
So I think we've hit three. We've hit cost, risk, business credit. You've given, like, those are compelling reasons right there, but there's more. There was a couple others. I think we said there was five.
Yeah, so flexibility is the next one, and I think the last two are more well, flexibility is a bit of a soft reason, but
Mm-hmm.
it is absolutely key to hire people.
Mm-hmm.
It's key to being able to be more nimble as a business, uh, and just to operate more cost efficiently. And um, I'll go ahead and bring up the fifth one, and that's talent. So I mentioned, in order to attract talent, oftentimes flexibility is key. And in models that we're seeing some companies use, is that they are if an employee can't work from home and they want to work, have a place to go meet with people,
Mm-hmm.
they can utilize one of our facilities on a more regular basis. They don't have to do it full time; it's part
a,
time.
a lot more cost effective. Maybe
Yeah.
what are they in there for 2 or 3 days a week, or 2 or 3 days a month, or a week a month, or something like that, and you could actually just use that tiny little bit of space in that location.
Yes, absolutely. And
Wow.
if the business is in Houston, Texas, and you want to hire someone in Katy, Texas, you got to make that person drive in from Katy, Texas, and
No.
and they want to get out of the house some, and they still don't want to drive to downtown Houston or whatever. We can provide something in Katy for them on.
And I've seen this, and we're one of them, because we realized during the pandemic, as a company, we have about 500 employees nationwide, 38 different states. You still want to be able to get together with your folks, but you may not want them in every day. Like, it's becoming less and less where people will need to be in the office every day. It might be one day a week, it might be 2 days a week. And this type of office space is way more flexible, in our experience, than doing these big, huge traditional spaces. Now, we have the big, huge traditional spaces. We had 3 floors in one office building prior to the pandemic. We had another building in Vegas. We actually had 3 locations in Vegas, and we didn't need them. Pandemic got rid of the need for about probably about half that space. And they're under 5 year leases. You have to wait for them to expire. You're still paying up the nose. Then you have to get rid of that stuff. This is an easy solution. Hey, if I need the space, I just scale up by adding more. If I don't need the space, then I just, like, are these long term contracts that you're entering into with people, or can they, like, 30 days notice cut space?
Yeah, they're 6 month contracts, or 6 month agreements, I should say. Sorry, 6 month agreements, and
Mm-hmm.
then after 6 months, they roll to month to month.
Oh,
And
shoot.
we would like for them to be month to month, but then the prices would be a little bit different, and we want to make it as affordable and as available to as many people as possible. And so to keep our prices low, we have that 6 month minimum, which
Mike, that's crazy good. So compared to like a 5 year lease, 3 year lease at a minimum, maybe you get really lucky and you go year to year. You're still having to renew with that landlord. There's no such thing as, hey, 6 months and then month to month. Like I just don't see it in commercials. So you guys allow that, a lot of flexibility. That's interesting. And then I want to touch on something with the talent pool. We found that we had, because it was a tough job market. Like like very few times in the history of this country have we seen unemployment so low. And it's tough and it's a fight to get good people. The ability to go into other states makes a huge difference to being able to avail yourself to other, to a greater talent pool. And then you might be in LA and you're trying to hire people in LA. It's a different cost structure in LA than it might be in Indianapolis, for example, or South Dakota.
Exactly. So our company not only offers virtual office services, but we work in a pretty distributed way. We have some people who are in an office full time or nearly full time, and a lot of people who work from home, and a lot of people who have both.
Yep.
And we leverage our own. We walk the walk, and we leverage our own facilities. I have a virtual office for my. I have an LLC just because I need to understand what it is I'm selling. I want to have an LLC so I can see what everybody that I work with and works with me has to go through. And so I have an LLC and I have a virtual office where that company is registered, and I receive all my mail there, and so I've got that. And then we have an office in Fort Worth. We have an office in Henderson, Nevada. We have one in Monterey, and we have several others around the world. And those offices are our virtual offices that we use. And in some cases, the one in Monterey, we have 65, 70 desks, and most of them are utilized. And we have some of them that are hot desks, meaning, one day one person's at it, that person goes home the next day, and someone else is in there. And so we really leverage the things that we're talking about. So we have really good utilization of that one office. However, it's a really flexible lease. And if we need to, or it's a flexible agreement, I should say. It's a flexible agreement. If we need to be out, we can be out in a short amount of time. I don't expect us to need to be out of that, but you never know what's going to happen in the world. So.
It sounds like the epitome of flexibility. I want to talk about one last thing, and then we could be done. When I worked at McDonald's when I was 16, and I remember doing an interview, and I was sitting in one of those little booths with somebody, and they were going through interviews right out there in the middle of the public, and I was always like, "Wow, that's pretty not private." Are any of these companies now coming to you guys saying, "Hey, we need to make sure that we're doing interviews not in a public space"? Where we're not just like there's no privacy. I remember sitting down and there was interview after interview, all these people sitting around. Some of you guys might relate. I don't if I'm interviewing someplace, the last thing I want to be doing is sit next to somebody who's got 3 kids and they're doing the Happy Meal thing while somebody's asking me pointed questions and I'm a little under stress. Do you have anybody that's using you guys now for that?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that question, because we do have a very large company, one of the largest in the world, that has come to us and said, we want to provide a service to companies all over the world that need more flexibility in their hiring practices and deliver that. And so we're actually working with them to provide that service.
It seems to make sense. That seems to be logical. I just remember doing that, and I see everybody else doing it. And I was just this weekend someplace, somebody was getting interviewed right out there in the middle.
I saw it at Panera Bread the other day.
Yep. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
maybe like the lawyers out there that are working from home. I don't think they're inviting people into their house. They're probably doing it at Starbucks or something. And gosh, know it. I'm in real estate. I see these folks. They'll be in a Starbucks for 2 or 3 hours holding their meetings. I'm like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
get a space.
Hmm.
I've heard that for other things, but I'm going to apply that to business now. Come on, guys, get a room. Get a room. Don't do it out here. Get a room. All right, that's enough, Mike. How does somebody get a hold of you? Can I put your information in the show notes? How would you like me to do that?
Well, you can always go to alliancevirtualoffices.com,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and we will put some links specifically for Anderson and to get the best pricing that we can uh, give you all. You can hit that link
Perfect.
and visit our website. That's probably the best thing to do in the show notes.
Perfect. Then I'll put that in there, and anybody needs that can reach out. In the meantime, you can like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and share this with anybody that you think would benefit. Really appreciate it. It helps that algorithm out. And if you've had any experience with virtual offices, whether it be Regis or WeWork or any of the others, put comments in below. Let me know what you thought of it. What were the good, the bad, and the ugly? And of the 5 things that we talked about today, the 5 reasons to ditch traditional office space, what's your favorite? Put that down in the comments below too. Love the comments and really appreciate it. Mike, thanks for joining us, and we'll have to have you back on again soon.
Yeah, Toby, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.